Welcome to The Hypnotist, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. Brought to you by the hypnotherapist demanded by celebrities, CEOs, and even royalty, Adam Cox. These recordings took place live from Adam's clinic in London's world-famous Harley Street. This podcast features powerful hypnosis, so do not listen while driving or operating machinery. This recording is not suitable for those with epilepsy or severe mental health issues. So, get yourself comfortable and enjoy today's episode of The Hypnotist.
Hi, it's Adam here, and in this episode of The Hypnotist, you're going to be listening to a hypnosis session that deals with a fairly rare condition called burning mouth syndrome. And burning mouth syndrome is feeling like that sensation if you've eaten food or drunk a drink that's too hot and it's kind of burnt your tongue or the top of your mouth, and you kind of put your tongue on it to kind of feel the sensation. It's kind of like that, but all the time. And it's not a nice sensation, it's a horrible sensation, and people live with it for years. And in most cases, the default, if you have this weird sensation in your mouth, is to go to a doctor and get it checked out. And the client that I was working with here did that. They went to the top neurologists and specialists in the world pretty much to check what the cause was. And in all of these cases, they couldn't find a biological or neurological reason for the sensation, which led the client to evaluate that it must be psychological. And they evaluated it was psychological as a likely cause. One, because if it wasn't physical or neurological, then what's left? It kind of has to be psychological. And a good example of a psychological phenomenon is things like phantom limb syndrome, where someone has an amputated arm or leg, and yet they can still feel it itchy or tickly, for example, even though the limb doesn't exist. So you can have sensations that are almost kind of somatic in nature that aren't really real. But also, when she figured out the timeline of when it started and when it got worse, it was linked to quite traumatic moments in their life. And when I asked them to reveal the first major incident where it really became noticeable, this burning mouth, it was a time when they received some news that they felt they'd been betrayed, they'd been lied to. And when I asked what the dominant emotion was when they felt that, they said shocked. And when I said, look, is it the kind of shocked when you're surprised, or is it the kind of shock, that you've been electrocuted? She said electrocuted. So imagine if someone was electrocuted, the body might act as if parts of their body felt that way. So because that information came up, and because they used a phrase like their words were ammunition, well, if their words were ammunition, it would mean their mouth is almost like a gun. And a gun is an explosive, high temperature kind of environment required for the shell to propel to the destination. So there were unconscious metaphors being used that gave me an idea that a lot probably happened in that traumatic event. So what you're going to hear in this hypnosis session is regression to cause, disassociated to begin with, and rather than all of those kind of anger, and the client said that they were angry, but they couldn't have an outlet for that anger for almost like 2 days before they could actually communicate to the person involved. So what you're going to hear here is changing surprise to a sense of, well, of course that would happen. How could it be anything else? This kind of expectation. And that poisonous words or kind of vile words or angry words were changed with kind and compassionate and considerate and empathetic words. Not to change the past. The past has absolutely happened. You can't change the past. But what you can do is you can use regression to cause to introduce new emotions linked to a traumatic event. And if the brain at some point considered this a safety mechanism to prevent something bad happening, like the loss of a relationship, then the sensation could almost be protective in nature. So for the hypnotherapist listening, you'll pick up on certain language that I use, which is designed to let that part know that whatever the goal was here is not needed anymore. Things can go back to normal, and to introduce different emotional associations, almost activate different neural networks linked to the very point of inception of this physical condition. If you suffer from burning mouth syndrome, or let's say any other psychosomatic issue that you feel like I might be able to help with, there will be a link in the show notes where you can schedule a completely free consultation call to explore working with me. For now, though, find a quiet, comfortable place where you won't be disturbed, relax, and just not enjoy the session so much as observe the session. And if you have some kind of pain or issue you're dealing with, replace the sensations that I'm describing with this client for your own sensations, as that will increase the probability of success. So find a quiet place and relax. Take a deep breath in. And as you breathe in a resourceful feeling of calm and relaxation. And as you exhale, just allow your eyelids to close. That's it. As they close, notice as you breathe in, you can breathe in deeper than you did before. And imagine breathing in bright, healing white light. Breathing in through your nose, filling your lungs with that feeling of healing. But as you exhale, I want you to notice what leaves your body is not a bright white, but a dull grey, representing any stress, any tension, any worries, or anything that you've been holding on to that you no longer need. As you exhale that grey dark colour, the next inward breath in is more of that bright white healing light. Breathing it in, allowing it to do its work, and exhaling anything that no longer serves you. As you breathe in and breathe out, I want you to kind of think of those things that you may be holding on to that no longer serve you. Maybe there's feelings of anger, frustration, betrayal, or guilt. And scan your body for any of those feelings and allow the healing white light to dissolve them into a grey. And as you breathe out, see that grey dark colour leave your body almost like a plume of smoke. As you breathe in deeper, you breathe in more of that healing white light. And as you exhale, you can see more of perhaps repressed emotions that may have been swept under the carpet that is now time to release. But let's release them completely. Breathing in and breathing out. And notice that as you make that outward breath longer, you naturally feel deeper and deeper relaxed. As your body relaxes, your mind awakens. And I want you to think, perhaps, of a ranch there in the mountains. Maybe you remember the town. You remember the skyline of the mountains. And in particular, you remember the trees. you to go back to a memory, a wonderful memory, where you're outside breathing in fresh air. And that fresh air will act just like that healing white light, cleansing your body and releasing any emotions you've been holding on to that you can now release completely. Breathing in that fresh air, breathing naturally. And maybe you're with someone back then, and you can enjoy the fresh countryside air, the crispness to it. Feel how it feels as you take an inward breath through your mouth. The cool, crisp air, healing your tongue, the roof of your mouth, even the lining of your cheeks. And as you exhale, again, just feel more of that tension, stress, or any repressed emotions just leaving your body there in the outward breath. Imagine what it would be like to hike up the mountains, to see the gold and red and orange and even purple leaves of the aspen trees. But I want you to imagine finding one particular leaf that is perfect for turning into a homemade whistle. Imagine folding it into the right shape, pressing it against your lips, and on that outward breath, hearing the sound it would have made. Perhaps it's the friction of air. Just hear that sound and feel like it's taking you back to that moment in time. As you remember what it feels like to have a healthy mouth that just you could enjoy, feeling so relaxed back then. No pain, no sensations in your mouth at all. And if you could imagine feeling how good it feel to be in that place at that time, let me know by nodding your head. That's it. And I want you to imagine perhaps a tent or wherever you are camping. And imagine it's starting to get dark. And maybe there's a campfire and maybe there's not, but just imagine you're feeling happy, content, and totally relaxed. And just imagine lying perhaps on a sleeping bag or the floor of the tent with a wave of relaxation washing over you, continuing to breathe in and breathe out, feeling deeper and deeper relaxed. As I count down from 5 to 1, you will imagine what it would have been like to fall asleep there in that tent. 5. A wave of relaxation going all over your face, your nostrils, your cheek, your jaw, and particularly the inside of your mouth. 4. Feeling that relaxation going into your neck and your shoulders, just releasing any tension now. 3. Your arms and legs feel limp and loose and relaxed, just like the limbs of a puppet with no strings. Feel a desire to yawn as your internal organs start to relax, enabling you to feel completely and totally relaxed as you drift off into sleep. And then 1, just imagine drifting off into a dreamlike sleep. And in this dreamlike sleep, I want you to imagine going to a point in time where you heard some news. Maybe you can see yourself like you're someone else, driving a car, taking a call. Perhaps that call was taken over speakerphone. And I want you to imagine being the observer. You are not in your own body. Perhaps you're seeing yourself from a passenger seat, the back seat, or even on the outside of the car. Observe you hearing some news and seeing a visceral reaction perhaps shock, rage, anger, disbelief. Imagine following that version of you after hearing that news, perhaps to a dinner, some kind of evening party where you can see yourself lost in thought, perhaps pent up emotions, bottled up but with nowhere to release them. And then follow you for another 2 days until you see yourself having an intense conversation with someone that did you wrong. And if you can observe yourself as you were back then, let me know by nodding your head. But I want you to rewind everything. Rewind everything, but this time, play it forward, seeing a version of you that knew this was going to happen. Not surprised, unflappable, unfazed. In fact, having the polar opposite reaction. Anger is replaced with compassion and understanding. Harsh words replaced with kind words, soothing words. Everything about it is different, except the call was the same call. The information was the same information, but I want you to observe you handling that very moment in a different way, with the kind of perspective that you already knew this was going to happen. You're not surprised in the least. There is no shock, no betrayal, because you'd already built this into what you expected to happen. All it did was vindicate a belief that you had. And what it also did is it meant that the decisions that followed were based on real evidence and real experiences. It legitimized so much of what you did because you had irrefutable evidence as to what someone did and who they were. So breathe in and breathe out and watch the memory back this time, seeing a different version of you, hearing the same news but being unfazed, no shock at all, almost a wry smile of, I knew it, of course. Observe yourself as you calmly hear the news. You thank them for their time in a calm and completely relaxed way. You're even thanking that person for being so kind to let you know what's happening. And then imagine seeing yourself, not with a feeling of betrayal or shock, but observe yourself being completely at ease with what's happened. All it did was confirm a few theories that you had anyway, and you needed to have them confirmed, and you have. So observe yourself as you then see yourself really enjoying the meal that followed. Attention not lost in your own head, no bottled up emotions. Just observe yourself as you really enjoy a meal, enjoying the food, enjoying the drink. See yourself really enjoying that experience. And then imagine observing perhaps a phone call 1 or 2 days later where you're having a conversation with someone that you feel wronged you. But instead of anger and rage, I want you to imagine observing yourself full of compassion, kindness, understanding, empathy. All of the words seem to flow from your mouth and your tongue like gifts rather than bullets, flowers rather than explosions. And if you could observe yourself doing things entirely differently, let me know by nodding your head. And notice There is no trauma in this version of you. No stress. No shock to the system. No lightning bolt to the head. Just a version of you that took it in your stride. So rewind it to the beginning and then step into that version of you where you're in a car, receiving a call, hearing the same news, and as you hear those words, feel yourself smile with a wry smile of, I knew it. Of course. How could it be anything else? The tone is calm, composed, and relaxed. No seething of anger, no rage, no betrayal. Just deep acceptance that what happened, happened, and you suspected it anyway. But allow your mind to be full of understanding and compassion. Allow your mind to articulate firstly to the person making the call that you're grateful for their words, but then feel the words leave your lips while you're in the car with no one else there that give you a sense of being unfazed, unbothered, that in the big scheme of things, there's nothing new here. You knew this was going to happen. That your intentions were pure right from the beginning. You did the right thing for the right reasons. And even if that was taken advantage of, you had a suspicion it was going to happen anyway. So allow the thoughts to be understanding, compassionate, curious even. And then feel how you would feel if you were enjoying your evening that evening, unconcerned with what happened, unbothered by it. Feel the conversations with other people there being positive, joyful, that you literally are unbothered. Notice how kind, full of compliments leaving your lips to all the people there, perhaps at that meal or party, full of kind words, making other people feel so good there at that place. And then imagine maybe 2 days later, having a conversation with that person that betrayed you. Only for you, it didn't feel like a betrayal. It felt like this is a symptom of things they've been going through. You're not condoning it, but you can understand it. You can acknowledge it. No accusations, no anger, no rage. Feel the words leaving your lips on that phone call. And I want you to imagine that with that conversation, you hear something different. It doesn't change reality, but I want you to imagine it's just in a different timeline, in a world of parallel universes. Imagine that in this outcome, your compassion, your understanding, your curiosity perhaps leads to different words coming back to you. Rather than defensiveness, maybe you hear something else. I want you to hear words that feel soothing for you, that feel that somehow they close a few open loops. Some unfinished business becomes finished. As you notice the nerves in your mouth seem to be changing. reverting back to how they were perhaps many years ago. If your unconscious mind was trying to protect you, thank it for the protection and let it know that you don't need that protection anymore. If your unconscious mind was trying to stop you from doing something, acknowledge and appreciate that. But again, say this is no longer necessary. Whatever your unconscious mind has been trying to do for you, acknowledge the intention, but give it permission to go back to normal. That the fire alarm was needed at one point, but the fire has been extinguished a long, long time ago, and therefore the fire alarm doesn't need to keep on making that noise. To feel like the fire alarm is switching off. Give permission for sensations to go back to normal. And to feel that your words are no longer bullets. Your words are gifts. And if your unconscious mind is willing to accept these suggestions to be true, in order for things to get back to normal, let me know by nodding your head. As you breathe in and breathe out, just imagine waking up, perhaps in a forest, by the side of a mountain, surrounded by the autumnal aspen leaves. And as you explore the nature around you, imagine drinking a cool glass of water and feeling a wonderful, soothing sensation in your mouth. And give permission for your mind to let go of the pain, the trauma, the anger of the past, so that things can go back to normal. Breathing in, breathing out, feel like you're returning to the present moment as you take a deep breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Just wiggle your fingers, wiggle your toes, feel fully connected in the present moment as I now count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. You will awaken feeling optimistic, resourceful, feeling a different emotion to that memory that feels empowering and positive in some way. The past is the past. This is just a new version of it designed to work for you. Breathing in and breathing out as I count from 1 to 10 to awaken you. Starting to count. 1, 2, 3, waking up. 4, 5, 6, more alert. 7, 8, open your eyes, open your eyes. 9, 10, wide awake, wide awake, wide awake.
Thank you for listening to The Hypnotist with Adam Cox, the show that gives you inside access to cutting-edge hypnosis with real clients facing genuine issues. To automatically receive the latest episodes, please subscribe. If you'd like to support the show, please share this episode with just one friend you think it could help. And if this episode helped you, please leave us a 5-star review.